Oh no, what's happening? Oh, there we go. Hmm. Hi, see there's one viewer. If there's somebody there, write in chat. Otherwise, that might just be me because I just jumped on to tweet this out. So, I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna play some Fairgrounds and Oaklawn today. I'm looking at the early sequence, like before I decided to go live, looking at the pick five. Nothing's like really jumping out. I guess we've got Gulfstream and Tampa running too. If you guys are playing either of those tracks, we can definitely pull those up. Right now, I just have, as you can see, Oaklawn and Fairgrounds kind of on the screen. I guess I should get this kind of right to start off in the first race. Like I said, I was looking through the sequence, looking at a pick five at both these tracks, and I don't think I'm gonna play it, and not because it's like, it's a tough sequence and I just like it's out of budget, but it's just like there's too many short prices, and there's like, I don't know, it's just not a good sequence, I think. At least for me, that I feel like playing, at least like any strong opinions. I just don't feel like I have an edge. That's it. So, yeah, that's that. So, yeah, I'm gonna be kind of out on that and just maybe go kind of race to race. Um, through these two tracks. And again, I saw a couple of people jumped on. Thank you guys for joining. Again, Gulfstream and Tampa are running, so we can look at those. If there's a race that comes up that you're interested in, can definitely look over and look at those races too. Pull it up on optics, look at the plot, etc. Otherwise, just kind of stick on Oaklawn and Fairgrounds because that's where I'm doing notes. Um, so a little selfish on that front, but I'm more than happy to play those Florida tracks if everybody's playing there too. So, anyways, yeah, we got and this is fun too. This happened last week. We've got 26 minutes to both Fairgrounds and Oaklawn Park, kind of right back on top of each other here. I mean, I guess it's not that really an exciting race as far as the Fairgrounds. Let's take a look at that just for this will be a warm up. This first race, and this was kind of the you go to Fairgrounds. Pull this up. Make sure I have the sound off. This first race at Fairgrounds. So, kind of the biggest challenge again when I was kind of looking for this is ticket. There's just not a lot of horses in here that like want the lead. I mean, we've the 6 is out here in terms of surface distance, but then it shifts between the 3 and the 7. And when you look at run style, there's no ease in this race. So its speed was good on the turf. When was that, yesterday? So we'll kind of see. We'll look at the grid. Again, I was trying to like find maybe there's like a low speed scenario and kind of just start with the single there. I'll go through horse by horse. And again, just kind of like my own personal style, I typically use the 180-day filter because recency is really important, but also I want to get a kind of a sample size in there. In this case, I might pop it out a little bit just because I want to look at this one note from kind of way back. When was that? Maybe I can just go 360. So B House coming back off the layoff, 306-day layoff, broke slow, had trouble at the start, had trouble, made a move, and looked like had some upside off that trip. Tangled up soon after the start, just a total mess in that opening quarter. Showed run, though just was unable to recover from that start with some upside. And then here we have a lone and then press and no keep, but that's at 10.5 furlongs, so you can't really see it in the running line. And then just didn't show anything last time out. On 12:10, again, I hate these type of layoffs where the horse doesn't show anything, 92 days off, and then she's disappeared again for 50 days. And there's, again, if I saw maybe there was a couple off the turf scratches because weather's been an issue at fairgrounds, maybe that would be, something, worthwhile, but it just doesn't seem like it. There's been a barn change. They're going to take the blinkers off for whatever reason. Maybe that just will get her to settle. Either way, the drop in class, there's been some intention on that front. Has some upside, but it's such a reach to get there. Wouldn't be impossible. It's not like, this race is, square. She's got some kick. It's not like this race is that strong. But again, it's kind of just tough off the current form to make the case. Beautiful Bella. She's currently the favorite. Some of this could be, connections. Bet down off the 7-2 morning line right now, currently 2-1. I'd say the biggest advantage, well, there's a couple advantages. One, obviously the connections. She's been with these connections for a while, but this is the first start in for a tag. I know some of these races a little bit lower just because of the circuit change, but was competitive in those special weight races at Evangeline and Louisiana Downs, finishing third in both those races. These two, she's at special weight, and then this was like first off the layoff on the main track. Hasn't really taken much money in those races, aside from this 1/3 place finish at Louisiana Downs, which for these connections is worth noting. Broke slow, saved ground last time, off the turf race, off the layoff against higher. So, maybe just with the class relief alone and an assertive rider getting aboard, maybe that's the key to show speed. The other horse, so Barnmates here, ran a B-, was saved and room and trouble, so there was some issues in that trip, and overall a good race for the level. Seems logical, but not really trustworthy. Doesn't have much speed, but kind of, I guess, consistent from that perspective. Did I lose my stream? Okay, sorry. So it fits at this level, but again, it's just maybe a little bit tough to trust. Thought there was some potential speed with the number 4. Third start off, slight improvement, showed a little bit of speed back in special weight at Canterbury in July. That was from the 11 post. They went to clear, so maybe that's the type of race that she's able to get back to here and just gets the right trip. So kind of makes sense. 5-2 though, it's not too exciting there, but from that pace perspective, the number 6 is the one that just in terms of surface distance looks like has some positional speed, coming out of a shorter race. Her one race on the turf at Louisiana Downs in that second start did show some early speed. Let's look at the pace figures there. We don't have them. It was a good course. Hasn't really shown much since, maybe getting back on the turf, but still kind of tough to get there. 7, I suppose you can make the case here. I mean, the fact that she showed a little bit more coming out of Laurel is worth something, in my opinion, because Laurel horses just, for whatever reason, they have a really hard time transferring form, and it's not like she showed that much form. But, first start against special weight, the intention was to run at this level on the turf, scratched in that off the turf race. Was able to get a race, similar conditions on January 6th, found traffic in that race, some stretch traffic, but kind of wasn't doing enough at the time. Comes back in a reasonable time. I like this, 76, and now back in 3 weeks. That's a much better turnaround than this 92 followed up by a 50, which I talked about earlier. But again, it's like I could use the 7 because there's really not much between these horses. I could use the 7, I could use the 4, the 2 and the 3. It's like they're so tough to separate, and then they're the same odds on the board. So it's just like, just start off that sequence. I can't do it. I don't know. Maybe somebody in chat has a stronger opinion in this race that can sell me on one over the other. But to me, it's like those four, just put a blanket over them, and I can't make a better decision at this point. Let's look at Oaklawn Park, and again, these two races are going to go off at the same time. Maybe with the first race at Fairgrounds being not playable, in my opinion, at least at this point. That can put a little focus on Oaklawn. There's a 7-horse field. I'll pull up the plot there, and we'll start by assessing the favorite. Current favorite right now is number 7. Getting bet down a little bit, quite a bit, really. If she's a favorite right now at 2-1, 6-1 morning line. As you can see on Optics plot, it kind of looks like she's going to have a pace advantage in here. Out in quadrant 1 has speed to the first call, so furthest left, and then second call speed high up on the y-axis, but not necessarily lone. The number 3, Flatoya, the number 6, Capture of Victory, also has some speed to kind of at least keep some pressure on, which is worth noting because she is a circle. Circles is less finished, and again, just if you're new to Optics, kind of getting familiar with it, all the horses in terms of shape is in relation to each other, right? So the 6 has more finish than the 3. And we can see that kind of in both plots. Now, in a different race, in a different scenario, the 3 might turn into a circle or a bigger square, but for today's race, that's kind of how it goes, if that makes sense. The smaller circle still has some finish, so because she has that speed, because she has that separation, might just be able to hold on the front end, but it will depend on kind of the 3 and the 6, what David Cohen does on the 3, what Arietta does on the 6, if they decide to press or not. It kind of looks like in that tracking trip, the 1, the 2, and the 4 are going to kind of be there for sort of first run. And the 5 kind of looks somewhat hopeless, even though we've got kind of live connections and a prep last out. So probably have to look at that a little bit deeper. But in terms of pace, not quite much of an edge. Well, let's kind of go through, we'll go through form. So the number 7 coming back off a layoff, and it seems like that's the intention here, is they're just going to try to steal this race. She had ran some fast races here last year, not quite off the layoff, but did break her maiden off the layoff at Prairie Meadows on the front end, uncontested. Didn't show as much speed here, but again, it's kind of special weight level. Class-wise, speed figure-wise, has that pair of races. Not against. I'm not crazy about her at 2-1. Just, first look. Number 6 was lone last time out. The hard lead means like right out of the gate, they're just like pushing. So it's not like she necessarily has like that lone speed naturally. So it was kind of pushed out of there. Paired up 78th is second start off the layoff. Second start as older. This being a juvenile number, so maybe some projection on that front. Has been 48 days, so perhaps a move forward. Let's see what the public is doing. Taking money, 3-1, and again, that's kind of a good plot position there. Makes sense. Does have to improve, so maybe that's not the greatest in terms of value. The number 5, so this is the horse that just in terms of the plot looks a little bit hopeless with trip, but it kind of has some stuff going on here. So back to the main track. The only other time she was on the main track was the debut at the rail. Wasn't taking much money that day. Kind of made up some ground late, but it was a little bit flow-aided the way it seems. Improved on the turf and with more ground, kind of held her form. Trouble minus and wide, but that race followed up by the layoff, so maybe something went a little bit wrong there in that race. Was forced out. Good, we got an extended comment. Forced out wide on the first turn. You can kind of see that in the running line here before fading. Came back in a sprint, in an allowance. This horse must have gotten promoted. I bet that's what happened here. This was probably a late DQ. So this horse has never crossed the wire first. So was here in the allowance coming back because promoted for the maiden win. Took up hard on the turn, so there was trouble there, and then not asked afterwards. So almost an excuse. We just didn't grade the race. That was at 5.5 furlongs. Again, probably would have liked to have seen her come back a little bit, quicker time. Maybe that trouble did take something out of her. We've got a prep, again, coming back off the 187-day layoff. Don't mind the 49 in this case, shipped. Class-wise, a lateral move. So C plus last time out with the prep. Maybe there is some projection. And again, these connections are really hot. The extended comment here, currently 13-1. So she was covered up from off the pace in hand most of the running. So not asked for best until late, and looks to have upside off this trip. So perhaps a little upside on the 5. Number 4, coming off a layoff. We'll kind of go back. Layoff and barn change. Looks pretty square, quite literally on the plot. Should be able to get a good tracking trip. Kind of has some contention in front of her. Definitely has some finish. Not quite a deep closer from that perspective. Layoff and barn change. Diodoro, a little bit cold. We're kind of seeing that right now. Morning line favorite, currently 3-1 on the board. So first start off, definitely getting, some class relief. She comes back as a 4-year-old, was running in some higher level allowances, ran for the tag. It was a weird race shape when you see space, like the front runner took off and just kind of spaced out the field. And sometimes you just get chaotic results when that happens. And she was wide, so not the greatest trip. Speed figures kind of line up for this level, so not impossible on that front. Has good races here at Oaklawn Park, so a little bit surprising that she's a little chilly on the board. But yeah, again, noting those connections, maybe that's sort of a sign. Diodoro also setting out the 3, another one that I said it's going to be, she's probably going to send. Looking at these races, blinkers going on here, rider change, kind of needs that loan, especially when you have a stalker as your other one. So I think we can count on the number 3 to push the 7 in this case. And then the 6 kind of seems like that's her way to go. So I think those 3 will kind of hook up here. Maybe that does trip out the 4 and 5. Anyways, the 3, we'll go back to her. Sort of needs that lone trip, it seems. That's what her one win was. The rest of these, broke slow when she took pressure, doesn't stick. Pop, dual grit. Has a good race here. That was at Ellis, but didn't hold. Why does it say grit? Battled perfect trip winner most of the stretch. An average pace. What's going on here? She's second off, so at least there's some recency. Coming out of that Delta allowance. She dueled with the show finisher. The top 2 were from tracking trips. She was favored that day. That was an 8-1 morning line. So some positive intent last time out. Came up short, but a little bit flow upgrade out of that race, ever so slightly. The 2 looks pretty slow to me. Highest optics figure, a 73. The low end of the par in order of what it takes to win, call this optics figure range, is a 79. Sort of the same thing. Well, not quite the same thing with the 1, but sort of the same thing with the 1. A little bit below, I guess, if anything, you can kind of make the case perhaps there's some upside because, she's older, but looks kind of like that didn't really happen. She came back off the layoff here. We had the barn change. Sorry, I'm going kind of fast on this one. Let me slow down. Started her career, Steve Asmussen, some B minuses, and this is a barn that typically with good horses being at the special weight level, they win early, so just kind of plotty. Had the 216-day layoff, didn't show much, did a little bit better, but maiden claiming. Eventually, they just got rid of her. Was she claimed? I don't know. There was some kind of transfer here. It doesn't even really matter. But since that transfer, hasn't shown much and a little bit slower, so she just might not be good. 15-1 right now, so that's probably I don't know. Makes sense. Let's say. All right. So again, I mean, I'd say maybe the 5, but also when you have a hot barn that's currently 13-1, 12-1, I don't know. I'm leaning a little bit 4 and 5 here, if anything. I think 7, 3, 6 are gonna hook up, and then kind of set up for 4 or 5. The 2 I said was slow, so that's pretty much where I'm at. I know there's a few people on chat. Are you guys there? Hopefully you're joining in. Are you playing Fairgrounds, Oaklawn, anything out in Florida? Let me know. I can pull up a plot for any of those Florida races if you want. We got 8 minutes here to both these races. See if there's any change on the board at Fairgrounds, but I think Fairgrounds is
where you can bet a lot.
The 2 is now currently, yeah, she's been the favorite the whole time. So we've got the 2 at 2 to 1, the 3 at 5 to 2, the 4 at 3 to 1, the 7 3 to 1. I mean, I don't know. Too tough for me. More interested, we'll watch the post parade at Oaklawn. Not quite post parade. They're still on the paddock. Jumped the gun a little bit on that. Let's see what 4 and 5 is right now. $38. And 47. Maybe that's playable. Best product in the game, tell Doyle he's the man. I will let him know, for sure. Devinero 3. Have you followed yet? Make sure that you follow. And where are you playing? Are you playing Oaklawn, Fairgrounds, Florida? And we got 5 minutes here. So much nicer being in a place where I don't have to call in bets off on the phone, that's for sure. So yeah, if you're just joining in, and we got a couple of people that just jumped in the chat, looking at Oaklawn Park here as well as Fairgrounds. Fairgrounds looks pretty much a pass. You got 4 horses that are taking money that are just really hard to separate. It just doesn't seem like there's, any edge. We'll kind of watch that race, see how it plays out. In terms of Oaklawn Park, we'll go back to the plot. We went through horse by horse, so I'm not going to repeat that. Again, just kind of do a quick summary using optics plot here. Looks like, the 7 right now is still, well, it's just shifted. So the 4 and the 7 are co-favored right now at 5-2. The 7 taking money from that 6-1 morning line. Looks like, with the strategy as far as the 7 is they're going to try to send from the outside. The 3 and the 6, the 6-1 as lone last time out, second off, could have some potential to improve, but definitely wants that front running trip. Same thing with the 3. So these 3 kind of looking to hook up. Maybe sets up for the 4 here to kind of get a good tracking trip behind them. Keeping in mind the 3 and the 4 are stablemates. Made a little case for the 5. Not only do we have the live barn, but this is second off the layoff. Had a prep last out at Fairgrounds where the horse just I don't want to say stiff, but almost, right? It was covered up in hand, not being asked for run, and then started to run on late. So it looks like there's some upside off that. And again, you have the hot barn, so shipping in. The fact the horse isn't taking that much money is a little bit concerning, but it could just be because the 7 is taking so much, and the 5 just having that running line last time out. So that could be the case there. Also, you guys, how does it hi, yay, thank you for following. How does it look and sound? I mean, it looks fine and sounds fine on my end, but let me know if there's some issues there. I'm still new to this and trying to figure it out, trying to make it look good. Slight delay at Oaklawn, so at least in terms of these races running back to back, we'll be able to go over to Fairgrounds nearing post time. Not much change there since we have that delay. Let's pull up the Fairgrounds plot. So again, this was kind of if you missed it, just jumped in. Talking about the pace scenario in this race because there's no EP types, and even in terms of the plot and the horse's running lines, doesn't really seem like there's any horse that wants to lead. It's sort of where the course was playing yesterday. Number 2 right now, Beautiful Bella, is your favorite. 1-2 for Ron Verche. Makes sense in the sense she's first time running at the maiden claiming level, and I think that is a big class change, and she has those races. We'll go over to the grid again. 68 to 74 back over the summer that kind of fit in range. The other horse for this barn, the number 3, Going to a Go-Go, ran a good race at the level last time out, a B-, an inside trip, had some trouble, lacked some room. Kind of prefer her over the 4. Though the thing with the 4 is maybe has a pace advantage. That was kind of just the one subtle trade-off there. Again, going back to Annie Shenanigans' race from the summer at Canterbury, showing some speed from the outside. So a little bit upgraded. Again, just kind of long story short, we had a lot of these horses in the field between the 2, the 3, and then the number 7 in this race that were really similar. The number 7, second start off, had some traffic at this condition back on January 6th. Not quite quickening as needed, but did could show enough to project moving forward in this spot. So they're in the gate. We'll just kind of, again, I don't have anything in on this race. If you guys do, let me know. We can get a route going, but they're off. The 2 broke slow. I'm going to do the notes at the same time and kind of like talk through this race. So a slog on there. Again, there's not much speed and they're all trying to grab, so that's cool. The one's running a little bit rank. That was a horse we talked about that perhaps had some speed. She showed some speed in that marathon race at Kentucky Downs, being rank, very rank right now, and that just inherited the lead to the 7. So 7 is loose right now. 4 is in that wide stalking trip. 3 was able to kind of get inside, a little warm, but able to save ground. The 1 still running a little bit rank. 4 is going to move up to push the 7. Such a weird run race. They're not going super quick. A favorite right now is a 2. Looks pretty comfortable, pretty stress-free, sitting behind that first flight. Again, not a crazy pace here. The 6 kind of tracking sort of inside. Seems like they've all kind of leveled out, settled down just a bit. We'll put a pressed on the 7 wide and a push. So we'll see. 2 looks like she has some run here. Behind horses, the 3 is going to get kind of angle out in first run. Looks like the 2 is going to try to stay a little bit more patient. The 3 got that first run off the turn. 2's now angled out into the clear. 3 is in front. 2's trying to close the gap. 6 just moved outside. 2 might be able to get her. We'll see if this is kind of where the class in that square kicks in. 2's going to get up. 2, 3, 6. So pretty logical in that first spot. Again, I kind of passed. I looked at the sequence to kind of play a pick 5 and just didn't really have an edge there. Favorite winning the first leg. So, that's that. Class makes such a difference. That class drop, first time special weight, and getting a pretty good ride as well. So we'll put those notes in, see what's going on with the Oaklawn situation. Oaklawn is still underdog. Turfway Matt, thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Where are you playing today? Oaklawn, Fairgrounds, Florida, anything else? Let me know if you guys, again, if you want to look at something else. I just have Fairgrounds and Oaklawn pulled up, but we can look at any race that's running. Even some stuff for the weekend. If you want to look at some of the races, I'm open to that. And if you're wondering what's going on right now, I'm inputting the notes from the last race. I don't think there was anything. Sometimes I think for the most part, if you're taking notes, you should be looking at the race from the perspective of which of these horses do I want to play back? Which of these horses do I not want to play back? Sometimes that's really clear, and sometimes it's just more, more informational, and I kind of think that's the case here. Having information and being like, this is necessarily horse I want to play back or get rid of, but again, thinking in that sense, right? Are these horses going to kind of improve, regress, or stay the same? I think we're probably going to be more of a stay the same at this point. Sunny Roll 1, thank you for the follow. Again, you guys jump in the chat. Let me know where you guys are playing, what you played, if we need to get some routes going or look at something that's going. So again, putting in these notes for the race and just to get information for these horses when they come back. I think that's the most important part, is not to like create a long story about what happened today, but give yourself enough information that next time that horse shows up, you know what to do with it. That's the key. What's going on? So we got 6 viewers right now. The second race at Fairgrounds, waiting for it to become official, and a delay at Oaklawn Park right now. So we're waiting on that. Kind of slow. Initially, it was going to be crazy because these two tracks were scheduled to run right on top of each other. At least this gave a little bit of a break to kind of go back and forth. But we'll see. We'll see if they keep that space or decide to run on top of each other. And I haven't been on Twitter. Hey, Emily, playing Fairgrounds today, had a small exacta 3-6 in race 1, otherwise just waiting for a nice price to start the pick 3. Yeah, I agree. So right when I jumped on, or even like before I jumped on, I was like looking at the sequence, looking at the pick 5, both at Oaklawn and both at Fairgrounds, and I just decided to not play it because I'm like you. I'm waiting for a nice price, and I just couldn't see one. It looked like there was a lot of short prices, but also a lot of short prices that weren't totally reliable. And it's it's not great when you're playing the sequence when you're using like the first and second choice, in multiple legs. Maybe if you like a price or something. I don't know. Just for today, I couldn't quite get there in that sequence. So I'm with you. I'm going race to race and looking for a price. Watch catch the replay again. When I was doing the Sunday show, I know the Sunday show was kind of boring because I was like doing trip notes, but whatever. But talking about kind of trip notes, and again, usually, especially in a field like this, even though it was a little bit chaotic early on with the one getting ranked, and then those horses just trying to like establish position for themselves. Typically, like I can get this race in like 3 views. So watching live, the replay right now, and the head on. And if I need more, like I'll know, kind of know there's some crazy stuff. Stream is great. Maybe a mic would help overall sound. Otherwise, been enjoying these streams and you run them. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll work on that. It's weird because it's researching it. It's like, is anybody gonna watch? Like, what should I invest in? Should I get a mic? Do I need a camera? Should I get lights? Like, what is going on? And at first, I'm like, you know what? We'll put out content, get feedback, and build from there. So maybe a mic would help overall sound. I can make that happen. Look into getting a mic. Thank you. So again, watching the replay here. I'm not really like looking on Twitter. And I have the sound off for obvious reasons, not trying to get in trouble. Have they said what the reason for the delay is at Oaklawn? Yeah, I can look it up. No, Jeremy Balin just said, does anybody know why Oaklawn is delayed? So, we don't. I don't. I won't speak for you guys, but I have no idea why Oaklawn is delayed. We'll follow that thread if somebody jumps in. It's a little... So even with, watching the replay right now, and especially watching the tote froze in the infield, Watto60623, thank you so much. If you guys look on chat, we have an answer. The tote froze in the infield. That's the reason for the delay at Oaklawn Park. So watching the head-on right now at Fairgrounds, again, with that kind of early trouble, it's important to just think like big picture of like what did that really impact, whether a horse's kind of overall performance, position, something like that. I think a little bit that could be the case for the 4, because the 4 got kind of pushed out by the 1 and then ended up moving up early to push the pace. Again, it's not, that crazy of trouble, but could be something, worth a note in terms of, the horse being able to slightly improve next time out, something like that. Also too, I'm open to looking at some races this weekend, especially, I've got 16 minutes to the second. We can definitely look at that race. Still under delay at Oaklawn. So if there's any races that you guys want to look at Oaklawn looks like we're going to the gate. Cool. All right. Then we can do then we'll go Fairgrounds next. Oh, geez. So in this race here, the favorite's been like completely floating since the start. The number 7 started off as the favorite early on, bet down from the 6-1 morning line. Currently the 6 is the favorite. The 3 was favored for a little bit in there. The 4, I believe, as well. So it's pretty interesting. I played your bet solely 4-7-1-7. My bet is Oaklawn Park Race Run, $15 straight. I can't understand that. 6 with 5. Oh, 1-5 straight. 1-5 straight? That can't be right. Maybe. Yeah, the 5 was interesting in here. Again, kind of second off the 5 horse to get first. Gotcha. Okay. 5 and then all. Got it. Is that right? 5 all. Yeah, the 5 was interesting. You have the hot barn. We had the prep last time out where the jockey didn't really ask the horse early on, and the horse was closing ground late on own. So, looks like had some upside off that trip. Started to make a move on the far turn, being ridden along, responding a little bit. We got the 3 out in front, being pressed by the 7 and the 6 as expected. Looks like that on the quad 1. The 4 is in front. I have a 4-5, but I think the 1's going to be tough. Looks like the 5 flattened out a little bit. But 4 is in front, 4, 7, 1, and then kind of back to the rest. But 4 out in front, 7 and 1. Yeah, I played that 4-5. It looked like the 4 was going to kind of get that trip based on the plot. The 3, 6, and 7 going out to contest the lead. The 1 not having as much finish, being a square. It kind of just looked like the 4 would get the trip, and then the 5 being a price with that second off. But it went 4-1. So quad 2, 4-1, 4-7. 4-7. So 7 kind of looking on there, maybe kind of a best of the speed. Was able to hold second, blanket back to the rest. All right. Let's go to Fairgrounds. We've got the second race, 15 away. 12 minutes away.
More. So
current favorite right now, 4 to 5 on the 3. Certainly looks like a fit. Looking at optics plot, we've got a green, so we'll kind of go through plot basics right now. It just gives an overall view of pace, and remember pace being one of your handicapping factors. And we'll go through, we'll look at speed figures, we'll look at form, we'll look at class, things like that to supplement. But green plot fit, you can see the horses kind of line up on that diagonal. There's not a lot of changes when you go from standard, which is the horse's current form, to surface distance. In this case, 2 turns on the main track going forward there. So let's just make sure. We got the 3 at 4 to 5, the 1 at 2 to 1 off the pace here. Both the 2 and the 6 at 5, and then 4 and 5, both big prices there. So we'll look at the grid. We'll go through kind of a horse by horse on this. Can do it pretty quick because we got 6 horses here. I think sometimes we can handicap it quicker than the page loads. That's probably another thing in addition to the mic. I might need to do something about my internet to kind of speed up, because this doesn't happen to me when I'm not on Twitch. But on Twitch, it's kind of annoying, especially when we start getting like last week when we had 4 tracks going at once, and as soon as it slows down a little bit, it's just we got to go to the whip, get these pages to start loading quicker. Okay, so the number 1 in here kind of makes sense, taking money now and looking at it. We've got the barn change. So Tom Amos taking over. Hot Barn has been really live, sending out horses all meet. So certainly looks live. Coming off 2 straight wins, moving up in class somewhat. It's actually more of a lateral move from last time out. Saved and closed. Can you guys, I don't know, that's kind of hard to see on the screen, but when I'm saying a lateral move, what I'm looking at here is the optics figure range, which kind of gives a range, what it takes to win the race. So sometimes that's kind of an indicator when a horse is making a class move. So the race last time out was a higher optics figure range than the December 12th race, even though it ran an 87 in both. Was able to save, close ground. Not quite that much pace, but again, that's kind of the trip you're looking for. It's going to be a closer, makes sense. Square in quadrant 4. The number 2, currently 5 to 1, coming back this afternoon. Vet scratch recently. Vet scratch on the 17th. Nothing too crazy, but definitely worth noting. Has been running well at this level, so certainly fits in terms of class. The vet scratch perhaps a little bit worth noting. Not much between the 2 and the 3. The 3 being the current favorite right now. So number 3, Overzealous, ran at this level last time out, a B+. So really strong effort. A B optics grade just is what it takes. A winning effort gets a B. B+ is over the top. B-, even a horse can win with a B-, but it's usually a really weak field. And A- is anything in the A range is something you just never see. I shouldn't say you never see it, but it's those really freak efforts. You're not going to necessarily see an A race from a horse at this level. Watto 0623, that's what's hard about horse racing. Trainers moving closers to a length of the lead early and going on to easy wins. With Oaklawn race 1. Let's pull up the replay. So you think what you're saying is the horses changed the running style with the trainer change? Because what I was seeing in there with being a quadrant 2 runner, let's pull up that plot. Wasn't too far off the pace. Let's look at something a little bit deeper. But had the layoff, yes, definitely the barn change for sure. But that class makes a big difference. and being able to race a little bit closer to the pace. So the fact that she wasn't able to run closer to the pace against, better horses makes sense, but is able to run closer to the pace at a level she's never run before. So you can see it a little bit, but I hear what you're saying. In that sense, she's pretty much always a Q2. Way back here, when was that? Was it quad 1 when she broke her maiden in the second start, or not broke her maiden, but ran second? Some of those muddy races. Blinkers were added. So you can see it. You can definitely, not a huge reach. Now, if the one gets the lead here at Fairgrounds, you have a point. Right? Because that's a barn change too. Same kind of lateral class move. Confirmed closer who's been running off the pace. It's like if all of a sudden the one horse makes the lead and wins, then make your point one more time. We'll all say true. All right, so Fairgrounds, sorry, kind of left off here. The 3, was talking about the 3 last time out, running that B+ effort. Hot Barn, they're going to come back in 3 weeks. So we're looking, he's got to be able to maintain his form. He's been running consistently, a little improvement. Eventually there's going to be a top. So I don't know if I necessarily want a super short price today. Maybe it's a little bit, especially because there's no real edge over the 2. They start going a little bit quick. The 4, does the 4 have some upside? Had some trouble last time out. Free Trip Track and Loan put in tight at the rail. In a dangerous spot with the rider easing up late with the open length chalk winner. That's not a bad effort. Not a bad effort at all. Has some upside. Definitely has, is going to have to answer for class. Has that farm change, but not a bad race. Bit of a stretch. Not impossible. If the 3 becomes vulnerable, then it really opens it up. The 5, that's one of the other long shots in this race. Looks a little bit below. Has this race back here at Hawthorne. It's like the one race that fits. Another kind of closing type. And it seems like of the 2, the 1 has the edge at this point. And then the 6, 6 had a regress back on November 26th. She actually moved forward, but did get a lone trip. No lead, no line, hard, and then she backed up. He backed up. So I knew that regress was coming somewhere. But they're going to have to send. They're going to have to send here. So let's see. Let's go back to the board. Go back to the board. We'll go back to the plot. 3 minutes. Make some decisions. Yeah, it really comes down to what's happening with the 3. If the 3 continues to hold form, wide move hot. The 2 currently. 2. The 2 has that vet scratch that I'm not crazy about. Is the 4 lone speed? Oh no, the 6 has to go. I don't know. Not really feeling this race for some reason. Again, part of the reason I had a hard time putting together a pick 5. Any opinions here in the second race at Fairgrounds? Is the 3 the strong favorite she positions to be? Is the 1 the logical alternative? If that 6 wasn't in the race, maybe the 4 would be a little bit interesting, but it's kind of tough. Get prepared for the second race at Oaklawn. Oh, tomorrow, you guys, of course, hopefully you followed already. If you haven't followed, just make sure you just do that. It helps out as far as the channel and all that stuff. You'll get notifications when we go live. But planning on having some guests jump on tomorrow, which is good because last Saturday streamed for like 4 hours or so longer. And it was just me talking to myself. So it's nice if I have like at least a little break or I can have somebody to talk with. The chat, you guys are great. Keeps it definitely like helpful for me. But at least having another voice in here, plus it's another opinion, and this game is all about opinion. So yeah, it should be fun. We get a guest tomorrow. And tomorrow, kind of the same schedule. We'll be able to have Fairgrounds, Oaklawn, Santa Anita running tomorrow. We've got some stake races at Santa Anita. And then stake races down in Florida again. So be kind of jumping all over the place with those races. And then Sunday, the handicapper Bible study. We'll look over races from the weekend and handicap some races for Sunday, but not necessarily a live stream that day. So that'll be Sunday morning. They're slow walking to the gate at Fairgrounds. At least the timing, that delay, kind of helped out a little bit with the timing going race to race. There's 15 minutes to the second at Oaklawn Park. We'll kind of look through this race. We'll go here like right after. Kind of interesting wagering. The number 6 currently favored 3-1. The 4 is a second choice, 7-2. 5, 9, and then everybody's kind of a big price outside of that. So 4, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, and 9. Now the horse is kind of taking action right now. Hi, Frost. All right, we're at the gate. This race is Fairgrounds race is kind of interesting. This is the Oaklawn plot that I have pulled up, but I'm currently gonna watch the Fairgrounds race and make notes at the same time. Hello. So the 4 didn't challenge the 6. The 6 is able to make a pretty easy lead. He's able to win a couple times at this meet with that lone lead. So we'll see if he can carry his speed. But did have that race last time out to kind of bounce back from. So maybe an improved effort here, especially kind of getting rated. The 2 just sort of moved up to put pressure on. The 1 racing closer to the pace today. Not quite the quad 4. Ross, what are you doing? 2 is in very good spot right now. Is going to have first run on the 6. 1 also in the pocket looking to have run. 3 just starting to make a move as well. So we'll see if the 6 is able to kick. 3 kind of flattened out. Looked like he was going to make a move. Now he's idling on the left lead. 6 is done. 2 or 1, 2. Perfect trip. So it seemed like the value in that race, the vet scratch just made me a little bit too suspect. But perfect trip. And 3, who was the favorite in that race that looked good on the plot, there's a horse I was talking about that just been kind of running those big figures, and at some point on kind of the short rest was going to catch up. Looks like the 1 ended up going off as the favorite with that barn change. But it looks like it kind of got to the 3 this afternoon, which to me was worth playing this race, but kind of screwed up there. Anyways, that's that. So I would expect as far as the 3 to get a little bit more time off before he comes back. Otherwise, they might drop on short rest, which wouldn't be that great. These notes in, and we'll go to Oaklawn Park with 10 minutes to post.
There were 3 claims out of the first race.
Starting with the favorite here, currently the number 6. When I went to this race, kind of looked pretty solid in here. Does have that improved last time out, but that was at Woodbine. Has been off 83 days. Just keep in mind with Woodbine, their season got cut short. So, maybe we're going to run on short rest, and then Norm McKnight, this is kind of his path, is like Woodbine, Oaklawn. So they really haven't had much of a chance to run this horse since the close of that meet. We'll take a look in terms of notes. Only a 3rd start, is first time for this barn, so making a change here. In terms of class, certainly fits. Slightly higher optics figure range for those races at Woodbine. 67 to 75 in both. Today's figure range is a 59 to 67, and then does have that improved last time out. As far as the tactics between horses, the rider just wasn't sure what to do. A very rare poor ride from my favorite rider, Justin Stein. Very rare poor ride that day. Let's see. So the number 4, Flaming, currently your second choice. Connections likely part of that. In terms of class, kind of the same thing. Don't have notes because it's a little bit further back. Hawthorne's not really a circuit. I've been trying to fill in the gaps, but missed this one. So again, kind of fits a little bit for this level, getting that class relief. So certainly can make sense on that front. Looks pretty square. Looks pretty solid on the plot. Surface distance, quadrant 1, kind of the same thing in terms of standard. So certainly fits from that perspective. Frost. The number 5, second time starter, definitely getting class relief from that debut. This barn is quite live right now, you guys, just keep that in mind. So getting bet down, 8-1 morning line, was 17-1 first time out. Obvious class drop, Churchill Downs, back in November, broke slow. So obviously taking some money here, pretty live. And again, for the live, this barn sending out live and taking money, probably a pretty live runner. Outside of that, let's see, we got the number 9. Makes a little bit of sense here. Ran a decent race, more of a lateral move, so maybe a little bit tough to trust in terms of a win contender. Currently 5-1, 3-1 morning line. Not the best ride last time out from the rail, an inside trip on hold. Angled out, willing behind the top 2. Kind of lacks some stamina, so I think that's part of the reason they're going to cut back in distance here. Has some things to like, but overall, maybe a little bit one paced, maybe good, underneath from that perspective. Let's see, everybody else is kind of a big number in here. Number 12 getting a little bit of support, currently 7-1, bet down from the 12-1 morning line. Getting back to the main track definitely has to improve. That's for sure. It's just, slow. The best race was the debut, and hasn't run back to that. There's no real change other than the surface, but for the most part, dueled against the flow. So in terms of quadrant 1 is out in front. They're, drawn outside, so they've got to kind of send, kind of hoping for the best on the front end. No keep, no push. So this horse doesn't really finish races on the front end. Kind of tough to get behind at a short price, in my opinion. 5 starting to drift a little bit. And then the 6 your favorite. I don't feel very creative in this race. I feel kind of with the public. Yeah, everybody else is kind of a big number. Let's see if anything. Turn force. Had a good race here, but coming off the layoff. Maybe needs a race or 2 or 3. Maybe that's the case. Yeah, kind of 5 and 6 is pretty much the way. I'm not crazy about 4 at a short price, but 5 and 6 seem fair. And then the 9 for underneath. Is anybody playing this race coming up at Oaklawn Park? No, everybody's quiet on the chat today. We need to get where's Blinkers off 420? He's usually chatty. Get some chat going. Yeah, so Oaklawn coming up, 5 minutes. If you guys are playing, let me know what you guys are playing, or if you have something creative, any of these long shots you want to make a case for, let's hear it. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep an eye on there, see if there's any changes. Watch the board a little bit. The 5, the 6 is paying 28, 26. Keep an eye on it. Also, too, we can look over at Fairgrounds, but again, if there's any races that are coming up this weekend, Saturday or Sunday, that you want to look at, or anything you want to talk about from last weekend, pull that up in the chat. We can pull up the plot or talk about any of those results as well. Look at any of those races coming up. So there are some stakes races, some Derby preps this weekend. I wrote about the what is it called? Lewis? Which I think is a really tough race. Yeah, the Lewis at Santa Anita. I think that's a really tough race. Has anybody had a chance to look at that Derby prep yet? The Lewis on Saturday at Santa Anita? Five is currently warming up on the track. That's a horse that's getting bet down right now for connections that have been pretty live this meet. And looks good on the track. Good enough for today's level. Hey everybody, this is awesome. 10 viewers right now. This is great. Let's jump in the chat. If you haven't followed, make sure that you follow, especially tomorrow. If we're getting special guests, you'll want to be notified for all those races. So make sure you follow. Just click the little button. No cost that goes with that. So, but it helps to support the channel. What kind of role do you think the weather today will have on the track tomorrow at Santa Anita? That's always a good question. I try to not think. I know it's weird, but like I try not to think about it so much, and kind of focus on handicapping and then just being like ready to adjust as needed. One thing maybe you could do is look at the workouts from the morning and just kind of see what the times are, if there anything that's like too extreme one way or another. But generally, and I would say especially for Santa Anita because of the history there, I think you guys know what I mean. They're gonna run with it being a fair track, yeah, safe track. So, yeah, I think it's important, to adjust early if you need. If you start seeing bias, try to not be like reactionary. Sometimes it's like, oh, horse wins on the front end, and it's like, oh, it's a bias. But you look at the plot and you're like, well, that horse certainly made sense to win on the front end. So I don't know if we should start calling bias quite yet. So keep that in mind. Use all the pieces, but I think it's important to think that way, but not quite overthink it, and just be ready to kind of adjust. Especially that stake race is later on in the card. We should be able to have a feel for the track at that point. I'll try to grab these notes here as we go through. Thanks, Sunny Roll One. Thanks. I feel like I start overspreading on some of those weather days. Yeah, definitely. I know, because it's like, well, what? Because you start doing like the what ifs, right? So, yeah, that can be tough. I think do your best in terms of handicapping. And again, look at the sequence. When you start feeling like you're overspreading, this is just in general. This is something I had to do again when I was looking at these sequences before I jumped online to play a pick 5 or whatever. If you have to spread so much that it's going to cut away from your from winning money, that's what we should be thinking about, right? Is not just like cash the ticket. That's fine. But you want to be able to make money. So if you start like you're spreading too much and then you look, okay, if it comes out this way, is it really going to pay? Do I need to start spreading down, cutting down in some of these areas, to make it a ticket that's playable? Because if you're just, spreading to hit a ticket, but not spreading to like win money, those are two separate things. So think about it from that perspective of, am I just trying to hit or am I trying to make money? And if, one is better than the other, and if it's just a sequence that you just feel like you're overspreading and the value's not going to be there, wait for a sequence that makes sense for you to play. Today's at both tracks were like passes to me because it looked like short prices, and it kind of looked like unnecessarily reliable short prices where you'd want to go a little bit deep. All right, they just were off at Oaklawn Park. Pretty much a fair start for all. The 6 being the favorite is kind of getting ridden early, pushing from the inside. 5, one of those other horses. Again, the 12 kind of projected in terms of optics plot, having to clear. So 7 and 12 are out there early. 5 is kind of getting a free trip in that mid-pack. A little bit of traffic with 3. I don't think it's anything real trouble. 11 kind of stalking outside. 6 is kind of looking a little bit in trouble. Yeah, 6 is going backwards. Same thing with the 7. 12 is still looking good. 11 as well. Kind of has some momentum outside. 3 had that little bit of traffic, but doesn't really look like much is moving from the back. Here comes the 5. The 5 is that live barn, kind of moved off cover, but losing a lot of ground. Needs to be kind of much the best. 11 getting that tracking trip, but it looks like the 12 is going to hold here. 4 starting to move on. 3 maybe has that subtle, I don't know, needed to see a little bit more finish there. But 12, best of the speed, was able to clear. 6, total no-show. No excuse, kind of going backwards there. 11, 11, 12. Where's the 4? Oh, the 4 started to move up a little bit late, too. All right. Anybody hit over at Oaklawn in that last race? Thought you would play?
Not necessarily in that order or in the state.
All right, we'll move over to Fairgrounds. We've got another favorite here at Fairgrounds. Number 8, currently a heavy favorite, 3 to 5. So we'll take a look, see if this is a valid favorite. Might be, I mean, so looking at the pot right now, it's a really contentious quadrant 1. The 8 being part of that certainly has the kind of best of the speed look. Is definitely furthest left, furthest high up on the y-axis, and a square of those runners, but is going to take pressure. So does this race set up for the 2 or the 3? The 8 could just be best of the speed. I was going to ask you, do you think that 4 to 1 in race 2 at Fairgrounds is the best price today? Probably close to it. Possibly. And certainly was for that race, right? Because it was like the 3 took so much money, and it was, so tough, like a read of what it looked like. Perhaps it was going to be a horse that was going to go over the top in there, but just really hard to tell, and it was, and then the perfect trip on the 2. But yeah, I mean, what was that? Well, the winner of Oaklawn, we got 5 to 1 there. But best price of the day at Oaklawn, I don't know. What do you guys think? Does this set up for a closer, the 2 and the 3? They're both big prices. I'm willing to take a swing. Because it certainly can't be anybody else, right? If it's not the 8, it kind of seems like the 1, the 4, and the 6 are going to be compromised trying to run with the 8, in my opinion. We're going to go through the notes in a second here. So, maybe the 4 a little bit. What's the 4? Currently the second choice. We'll have to see, like, when we go through the notes. But, at least for the 1 and the 6, they look pretty compromised. And 7. 1, 6, and 7 looks pretty compromised with those other horses. Let's see if we can get a bomb in this race. What just happened? Went too far. All right, let's start with this 8. So that's what they're looking for, is to be a best of the speed. 70, 74. But was able to do so with a very slow and an average early pace, and it looks like it's going to be fast and contentious. So that's why the horse, sometimes when you kind of do the deeper dive on this, has some finish, and again, it's relationship over the others, so it's not like there's, a lot of strong finishers up front. But definitely the average early, the very slow late, had a very fast pace last time out, wasn't able to make the lead at the higher class level, and then with that traffic, so certainly the drop makes sense in this spot. But whether this horse is going to be best of the speed with all that contention, and as outside, so it's going to have to be wide too, could be a little bit vulnerable. E-Home 2, thank you so much for the follow. All right, our other speed in here, we have the number 7, was the first to quit no lead last time out. At this level, pretty overall slow, and again on the plot, and that was a slow pace and faltered. So it kind of makes sense with that circle, not much finish, but definitely could be a serious pest for that favorite. The number 6, it's another quad 1 runner. Hasn't quite shown much. There could be a little bit here. Just kind of looking at the form lines. Kind of looks like when C, C+, B-, C+ last time out. But even 67 is pretty below. 70, 74, so pretty slow. Yeah, it's like on the lowest end of par, or range. The number 4. So this is the alternative pace setter. Maybe the 4, in my opinion, has a little bit more upside than the 8, and at least a better price from that perspective. So she ran at this level. This is her third start off the layoff, so that's a positive in terms of form cycle. Ran at this level off the layoff, caught the slop, and a C+ race, so not bad, far outside post. Showed speed, so kind of rushed, because we see that slog there. Dual, no keep. That was at Delta, going 2 turns. Lunged out of the gate, made the lead between horses, unable to stick, but, cutting back in distance. So I think there's some upside there, some positive progression in terms of speed figures. Has some races back here to run back to that fit on par. Right now, I'm liking the 4 a lot more. 1 to 2 on the 8. Crazy. Are we going to take that horse on? At least with the 4, but maybe this 2 and 3. Maybe 4, 2, 3 is the key here. All right, getting ahead of myself. All right, the number 3. Finally going to get a price. Deep closer. Very deep closer. All right. This is definitely an underneath type horse, or like absolute meltdown, because just has zero early speed and is not fast either. But at 19 to 1, maybe gets underneath. And then the number 2, oh my god, same thing. Slow. But did have a close last time out. Ooh. What happened here? Where's the 1? Oh, the 1 wants to be part of that pace. Yeah, the one kind of needs to be forwardly placed, it seems. Second start was a vet scratch. Third start off. These connections. Got a barn change here. Where's the 1 on the plot? A little bit vulnerable. That might be enough to get a piece. But I don't know. I feel kind of stabby. I think I'm going to play 4, 2, 3 and hope for the best and try to beat this 8. What do you guys think? Playing this race? At least taking the 8 on? 3 might be a good bet. I mean, I'm sorry, not the 3. The 4 might be a good bet. 7 to 2. Because the 8 is currently 1 to 2. The 8 is also always wears front wraps. Okay, not a change there. Let's go to the betting machine. track field coming up. And then we got Oaklawn coming up. So, all right. Post time at Fairgrounds are not quite at the gate yet. Try to not be too greedy, but all right. While these horses are going towards the gate at Fairgrounds, keep an eye on there. Can I get lucky and key the 1 and all? I mean, it might be okay. I mean, you're still buying. Keep in mind, right? We talk about spreading. You're buying the combination of 1, 8, 4. So, I don't know what your ticket's going to cost, but keep in mind you're buying that combination. Oh, without the 8? Yeah, now you're talking. Because if that horse runs out, but yeah, then I mean it should be fine. Versus, putting that money just on the 1. Unless it's like a key. What are you doing? Key wheel? Or just straight? Let's see what's going on here. All right, they're in the gate. I'll keep this plot up while the race is going, so we can kind of follow along. Because that to me is like kind of the key here. Is if that pace scenario can get that 8 beat. Because at least with the 4 and even the 1, at least with those two, they can kind of track. But the 8 being outside, and they've got to kind of go. If they don't go, then I don't know what happens with this race, but they did go. And the 1 and the 4 are up there as well. The 8 is wide outside those horses. The 6 and 7 are tracking. The 1 just cleared to go alone. 7 is trying to wrangle. That was one of the horses that kind of needed to be forwardly placed. 8 looks pretty comfortable tracking. So we'll see if she's just kind of much the best. 4 just took a short lead, lost some ground in the process. 7 just came kind of wide. Stay up, 4. I'm happy with that result. Not as happy as I could be, but that was the bet to me. The 4 was the bet. They had to play against the 8 with the pace scenario. And the 4 had the form cycle. 3rd off, had the improvement of the sloppy track, cutting back in distance. Very strong, second pick. 4-1 there. So. Oh, the 7 got second. Darn, that would have been a good exacta. 2 and 3, not quite. They were just too slow. 4-7. Oh, wait, did 8 get there? Maybe 8. 8 might have pipped the 7. I think it did go 4-8. That's good. All right, let's go to Oaklawn. We got 13 minutes to Oaklawn.
starter allowed.
And let's kind of start again. Let's look at these two favorites. We got two favorites right now. The number 3 at 8-5 and the number 7 at 9-5. They were both just 8-1 when I mean 8-5 when I started talking, but we got 8-5 and 9-5. So number 3 right now, Big Tiny, Robertino Diodoro, a win on the card. So could just kind of be starting to sort of warm up here. Also morning line favorite, 2-1. The 2 is really cold on the board. And then the 7. So 7 looks like it has a pace advantage. Big time. And bet down. 9-2. But part of that is because they're not touching the 2. Which we saw that in race 1. That the 5 horse from this barn didn't take much money either. Showed a little bit of run, but compared to how the horses from this barn are running earlier this meet, maybe that's a sign. So, but the 7 looks interesting to me. We'll have to see where the 8 is, because if the 8 is coming off a layoff, and if the 8 is a little bit short, the 7 could just be lone speed. The 3 is dropping. I think you brought up. Oh, thank you. Nice one, good call. Thank you so much. I think the 3 is. We saw this earlier, dropping a little bit, maybe showed a little bit more speed. So maybe that's the case here. Let's take a look.
Game.
10-20 on the winner at Fairgrounds too, by the way.
Whole.
All right. So we're looking at the number 3 here. So making second start for this barn. Yeah, they kind of. So I watched this race at Remington Park. Kind of looked like, not necessarily like they stiffed the horse a little bit, but this wasn't like. I'm sorry. Could just need like. It just wasn't like the ride was like strange. It was a strange ride. So maybe having the time off, has been off 2 months, maybe a little bit of regression off this win a little bit. Or I'm sorry, in terms of this form cycle, a little bit of regression. But definitely taking money here. Somewhat of a lateral class move, if not moving up a little bit. The 2 looks pretty slow. So that just may be a bad morning line. Or maybe the morning line was adjusting to the fact that the barn was so hot. But anyways, that horse as an individual shouldn't be the second choice. It's pretty slow. Number 4, currently 8-1. B-. Last time out, they were going to run at Turfway. Decided to run here. Pace scenario might not be that great. That's right. We want to look at the 7 and the 8. 6, another closer. 7 is second off, getting some clash relief. The 7 makes a lot of sense. Used out of the gate, just not quick enough to get the lead. Might need some clash relief to get that front end trip. So that's what they're looking for here. They're, dropping that surface change, looking to steal. So the threat on the front end is the 8, who's coming back off a layoff. It's definitely one that needs the lead, but that layoff is questionable. 233 days, barn change, same ownership group, so transferred, but a need the lead type. Yeah, Aaron, I agree. The 7 fastest at the distance. That's what I'm looking at. Is the 7 just like lone speed? It's just the trouble with the 8 coming off the layoff. The 8's not ready. The 7 could just be gone. But not much of a value right now. 2-1. 5-2. They're really hammering the 3. Aaron, do you have the 7 singled here? I think the 7 can be loan speed. Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's just going to come down. It's going to come down to the 8, right? Because the 8 coming off the layoff, but the 8 is the only other kind of E horse in the race. Now the 3 is that a yes to being singled? The 3 we saw this earlier with the Diodoro horse that was in what was that the first race where the horse dropping in class showed a little bit more tactical speed and was closer than it is here, but maybe just, they are going to ride a little bit more aggressive because we've already seen that today. Yeah. Get set up for this. Get set up for the 4th at Fairgrounds as well, because we got a pretty full field there. I'll keep the plot up for the 3rd race at Oaklawn Park, and then we should have time once this race goes. We're at 6 minutes to post. There's 18 minutes to Fairgrounds, so we'll be able to get through this race at Oaklawn and then have plenty of time for that Fairgrounds race. So much more chill. Frank Sinatra 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know much about where these horses are coming from, but I don't like to bet speed horses off long layoffs. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bet, the 8, but whether the 8 just becomes too much of a pest for the 7. Do you see what I'm saying? So if the 8, even though the 8, I agree with you, I don't like this horse per se. But is this horse going to be so much of a menace to the 7 where the 7 becomes vulnerable? And then in that case, if the 7 is, then the 3 is going to, who's the favorite right now, should just be able to pick up that pair. But in terms of a bet, 100% the 7 over the 8. Well, I've got 4 minutes here. Keep an eye on these horses on the track. Can lay 7 second, and 7 can lay second. Can 7 lay second and still win? I mean, possibly, but it would just depend, right? Like if they run exactly like they do in the plot, where like the 7 and the 8 just go out and clear, and the 7 kind of lets the 8 go and then sits kind of right behind, then I would say yeah, definitely. But if the 8 goes, the 7 takes back, and then the 8 slows down a little bit, then the rest of that group, that bunching, right? These guys here, then all of a sudden there's no separation. They're right on them. And then the 3 gets the trip. So I think the 7 would be best to be aggressive. But if that scenario does come up, could sit second, just wouldn't want to be slow enough to where everything kind of like packed up behind them. Does that make sense? Do you see what I'm saying in terms of in the race shape? 2 minutes to this race. I'm gonna feed my dog really quick, and then we will come right back. Frost, come on. Did I miss anything? Anything exciting? Anything happened in the post parade? I saw the 6 was a warm up. That is pretty much all I saw from that perspective. It's been kind of a slow day, but that last race at Fairgrounds has made it profitable. Patient but profitable. I can't play this. Yeah, this one is kind of seems like a pass now. Aaron, you're single to the 7, so I'm gonna root for this horse. And I mean I like this play, but I can't from my position right now. I can't get involved at these numbers. In multi-race, I think it's a pretty good single. Frosty, you gonna watch this race? At 2 or 1 or lower, I can't make a win bet. That's what I'm saying. I was watching too, like waiting to see if there was gonna be some drift or they'd start going after the 3 a little bit more. But it got to a number I couldn't get involved with. So they're sending the 7, which I think is the right approach. 3's getting pushed along. He kind of did that last time and then kind of was like grinding along. Right, quad 1 square. Let's see what you're made of. Here comes that 3 on the outside. Come on, 7. Nice job. Good pick. Good call. Yeah, I'm glad that they were assertive with that horse and didn't try to take back. I think they got a send. That was good heads up ride. And then got pressure at 5. Also something to note. So the 2 in that race, Fleet of Bell. Remember the barn started off really hot, and they're just not betting those horses today. I mean, she ran fine, but 5-2 morning line. Fine in the sense, I mean, it was pretty good inside trip. Throughout. Too bad didn't get the right price on that one. It was the right call. Good excellent handicapping. Kind of a crappy number. All right, we'll go to the fairgrounds. So fairgrounds, this will be the 4th race. It's 9 minutes to post. We'll handicap this race sort of in the same manner. Starting off, the number 3 right now, current favorite, 5-2. Looks fine from this perspective. Quad 1 square, positional speed. Doesn't look like there's a lot of EP horses, the 6 being the other one, but definitely the 3 has the edge. The speed rate being 67 is curious, though. You guys can see that on Optics Plot, how there's those horses that are above the par line. We've got the 3, 6, 9, 5, 4, 2 are all above the par line. So even though those aren't horses that are necessarily like E-type runners, they're still horses that can run fast. So they keep the pace. They keep the pace honest. So that's something to keep in mind as we go through and looking at the number 3. Does that make sense? All right. So we'll go, I'm going to use that 188 filter. It's pretty much my kind of personal starting point. And then if I need to kind of go forward and backwards, but I feel like 3 months, that gives a, good sample, or 6 months gives a good sample of the horses running. Let's look at the 3 first. Well, this I don't necessarily like. I mean, okay. It's not bad. We've got a 150-day layoff. It's one of the top barns. There's already a win on the card. They won the first. Been live all meet, so that certainly makes sense. Potential pace advantage, just kind of being one of the 2 E-type runners, but does have the layoff. There has been intention to run on the turf. Was scratched when the races came off the turf. November 26th, and then the same on December 12th, and then couldn't draw in to the race, was on the AE list, so some pretty bad luck here on January 2nd, and then the races came off the turf on January 8th. So even though it's been a layoff, they have been trying to run for almost 2 months. Jeez. So that's tough too. When you have a horse that was ready to run like 2 months ago and having to keep the horse in peak. Mixed read. Not getting too excited there at 8-5 on that one. Where else are we going here? The number 2. Look at this horse. It's been improving forms. The other runner for the barn. I like this one better, like almost kind of right off the bat. Improving form cycle, 3rd off. So they ran, even though it was an off the turf race, on November 27th, and then on December 18th, a B-. So you can see this is improving, and it's 1st off the claim. What was the 6th inning comment? On hold from off the pace, making progression down the center of the track. The top 3 finishing in a blanket across the wire. So this 6th place finish is sneaky good. Only 2 lengths back, so kind of a sneaky good effort. Just at a better price. I kind of like that horse. There's not much separating the 2. Yeah, 3 and 2. I had a turf comment here. A B, a winning race at the level. This is number 1, currently 13-1. Doesn't look great on the plot for some reason. Doesn't break all that well. Deep closer, that's kind of tough. But comes out of that same race. Was one of those horses in the blanket finish. The 6 is going to show speed. The 5 also should show a little bit of speed. It's getting back to the turf. I don't know if this is necessarily a winning spot for the 5, but certainly this is going back to with that speed rate, right? Not a need the lead type, but definitely one that's quick enough to race close to the pace. So it could be a pest for that 3. Seven. Covered up and on hold, a bit overconfident, finishing in a photo for the win. Winner was able to get first run. A little bit soft and almost better on the main track. So I'm not crazy about that one. Doesn't look like the right pace scenario either. 8's not bad. Capable to improve getting back on the turf. But did have a C. That's about a lateral move. A little bit soft. Maybe for underneath at a price. And then the number 9 had a B at this level. That was in that blanket finish, that common race. The race looked like it was slowing late, because both those horses came from off the pace. And then where was this horse? It was kind of mid-pack. Kind of like this too. Kind of coming back around to that horse. Should get a good trip. What do you guys think of this race? 3 is 9 to 5. The barnmate, the 2, isn't that far off, and is currently 6 to 1. Seems like some value there, in my opinion. So let's see, we got 2 minutes to post here at Fairgrounds, and then we'll go back to Oaklawn. 23 minutes to the 4th at Oaklawn. Good allowance race. I wrote up if you guys saw the Circles and Squares article for today, I wrote up kind of a detailed analysis on race 8. So it's a little wordy. That was definitely a choice. Maybe not a choice I'm going to make going forward, because I'm not sure if my writing is worth you guys reading that. But nonetheless, I wanted to write it that way. One, because I couldn't, it was hard to find a lot of picks on the card, to be perfectly honest. And writing up that race and taking a shot against the favorite, it's sort of like the way we've been talking through these races, how a lot of times for public handicappers, people in my position, it's like you're forced to make a pick, but the race is so the pick is, the way that you see the race is so determined on all the other horses in there and all those parts, right? It's like the race shape and the class and all that stuff. So I wrote about the race that way, of talking about it as like the race as a whole and why the favorite could be a little bit vulnerable, and then kind of working backwards to get a pick. So it's basically like what we're doing here online. Just, you have to read it. So to me, I take in information this way a little bit better. Even though I like to read, I'm like more of a hands-on doer. So I don't know. Maybe this helps like for people too that sort of have the same type of learning style that I do, that like to learn by practice and by doing and repetition going forward. That's like the athlete, the trained athlete in me that like shows up to practice every day and just does things over and over and over again, and then it becomes like second nature. I don't know. That makes sense. You went against the Cox horse. I did go against the Brad Cox horse. And it was a risk. But I think that horse is going to be really, really short. It's, so in terms of sometimes with a favorite, like it's not necessarily that I'm against the horse itself. It's just the race is so competitive and people are going to look at the race and be like, oh, he's just like such a favorite. So it's more of the fact that it's an underlay, that there's no value, than the sense that I think that the horse isn't going to win. Definitely can. But I think the pace is going to play a factor in there. Maybe the 2 could be in the exacta. In that 8th race at Oaklawn, if you're talking about the 4th race at the fairgrounds, let's hope the 2 is in the exacta, but in the first spot. If we're talking about the 2 at Oaklawn Park in the 8th, yeah, I mean, I think that horse is in the 8th, yeah. I give that horse a look. I think there's a lot more there. Not the most, lucky horse and the most reliable horse. In the Fairground 4th, yeah. Yeah, no, I like the 2 here. I think the 2 is good value. All right, they're off of the Fairground, so let's see. Let me pull up. We have the plot there. Okay, good. All right, good. So that's the plot for this race. We'll kind of see if they're sort of running true to form. The 3 getting pushed by the 5. Where's that 6? That 6 is supposed to be up there. 3 just cleared. So 3 just got low. Hey, cut it out. 2 is off the pace. We need that 67 speed rate. They're all trying to rate, but they're still going fast. So this is the difference between contention and speed rate. This could be 47. If it's 47, I will not be that surprised. So it looks like they're kind of moving. 50? No, well, that's slower. But now starting to bunch up. So the 3 definitely has had the advantage of this trip and should have 0 excuse from this point. Ooh, the 4 just pulled up and blocked the 1. But I think this is it. The 2's starting to run on, but just, the 5 could run this horse down. Well, right idea to play against the 3. Unfortunately, the pace was glacial. The 6 really let us down there. Big time. And the 5 took advantage. Who actually looks not bad on the plot in terms of standard, right? Was definitely in the position to get first run. Had the finish. But yeah. All right. Right idea. Hopefully some people took the 5 there and took the favorite on coming off the layoff. But we move on. All right, let's go to Oaklawn. 16 minutes to the 4. And we'll get a board here in just a second. And a plot. All right, so current favorite right now is number 4, which likely seems that way because of connections, which is kind of what I was thinking is going to happen in that 8th race. A logical type, but potentially overbet. So certainly the 4 makes sense here. Looks fine on the plot. We do have a yellow plot fit, so even though it kind of looks like the 6 might have a pace advantage, we'll kind of have to look through this a little bit. The 7 also has some speed, the 3 as well, the 1, and even the 4 has a little bit of tactical speed, at least enough to kind of, keep pressure on that first flight of runners. Oh, shoot. Let's bring it back to the 4. And we'll start by looking at the 4, just like everything. We'll kind of assess the favorite and go from there. Let's look at it one by one. All right. Yeah, not much to knock. I mean, Broker Maiden first out at Saratoga, showed grit, saved ground, showed grit again. B- at Laurel. Why would they run at Laurel? That's odd. That's not good. Kind of going backwards. Are they running here? Do you guys see what I'm saying? A horse breaks the maiden first time out at Saratoga, shows grit. Wins an allowance at Keeneland. And then goes to Laurel? Wasn't even favored. That's odd. And just kind of a B-. And now has been off 2 months. Something's odd. Definitely makes sense, but I feel like the plot fit right now. Like yellow. Caution. Caution. Alright, let's see what else we got here. The number 2 is taking money. So an Asmussen filly. Look at her. Isolate her. So we'll go through the pattern here. So Broker Maiden here, first time out. Massive speed figure, 101, B+. Good ride to overcome traffic on the inside. Also showed grit. And then B+ in her second start. But this is the difference, right? So kind of a similar pattern. Maiden win. N1X win. Oh, I don't have the 4 pulled up anymore. But anyways, then they do a normal thing and they go to graded stakes company. So at least, this makes sense. You've got a fast horse winning on these circuits and goes to grade 1, didn't work out for whatever reason, ran a C that day, took a little time, came back, got maybe some confidence. So now going into a restricted stake makes a little bit of sense. It's like a similar pattern, right? I don't know. Runs a stake, kind of gets some confidence back. Not quite running to those first 2 speed figures. Has the layoff. Regroup. Makes sense. Traffic close. An allowance race. And then improved here. Going 2 turns, that was a stake race. Trouble started wide. I wasn't crazy about the way that she finished, but I think that was probably distance. So they're cutting back to a sprint. I like her a little bit more. At least there's more confidence. That bugs. 4 to 5. 4 to 5 on the 4, 2 to 1. Let's see if there's some others in this field, or if these 2 just kind of stand out sort of over the rest. Maybe some of these other horses are on the upswing and then can get a pace advantage. Let's look at the 6. and see if she has a pace advantage. Kind of seems like it. The 5. That live barn. Where's the 5 on the plot? The 5 is down here in quadrant 3, but here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. So this is important to keep in mind. So the 5 is coming back. Telgasol, thank you for the follow. The 5 is going to come back off a layoff here, 278 days. So these races where she's running, we've got a juvenile start, and then for the most part, her races were all early in that sophomore season. So there's some upside here. So that's going to be impacted in the plot. Plus, then you have some of these races that aren't so good. Whoop, wrong horse. The debut popped, but then was off, right? So this race is probably a pretty, a better representation. Preston drew off, was a wide duel, but came back in 18 days. That was just poor timing. To come off a layoff, run a massive effort, and then to return in 18 days is kind of crazy. They gave her rested 42. She wins again. Kind of a perfect trip, wide stalking trip, just off the pace edge of the first run. And then, this is another Brad Cox horse. 17-1 on this one. They run back in 9 days, and then she's off for a period of time. The 5 is interesting to me. At least from a pace scenario. Because she could have upside in terms of her speed figures. Now as a 4-year-old, has that 88 and the 85, which are pretty much the only 2 races on her form that matter. Arkansas bred? True. You're right. So, but in terms of class, in terms of her figures, she's not far off. But could be a prep. It's possible. I'm getting 17-1 to find out. I don't know. Lone speed. The number 7, she still hit or miss. She ran like a couple good races here last season. Another one that is kind of capable to show speed on her best day. She's just so inconsistent. It's like kind of a classic like Lucas horse, like just runs her all the time. Gets good, keeps running good races, and then, whatever. Certainly fits in terms of speed figures for the level. Slightly fresh. Didn't win off a similar break. Was wide and against the flow here. What the hell does she want to do? Not great on the plot. Maybe better longer. Yeah, maybe it seems like her better races are longer. She's hard to trust. What about the 1? Another one that might show speed. Has some fast races back here. It's better kind of tracking. A little bit off form though as of late. But does like Oaklawn. 16-1. And then the 3 looks a little bit below. Looks a little bit slow. I prefer the 2. I think the 2 and the 4 are really logical. I think we can all agree on that, right? The 2 and the 4 kind of make the most sense in this race. They've run some of the faster races, class-wise. But I don't know, there's something about both of them I don't really trust. The 1 looks good on the track. Kind of see her warming up right now. I could see some chaos here, you guys. Chat, what do you guys think? Let's go back to the plot. The 3 was just a little bit too slow. So the 2 and the 4 want to sit right off the pace setters. So they should be able to get first run. So I think if this race is kind of in an upset, it could be on the front end. So 6, 6 and 5. Six wire to wire. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I could see it for sure. I still say the 5 could run with her. I think you make a really good point about being an Arkansas bred and facing open. That's extremely important. But again, if we just look at her 2 races, there's only 2 races on the form that matter. They're both early season 3-year-old races, so there's upside in terms of age. They were slow early. I think it's worth messing around with. Now you can look at the 5th real quick in terms of doubles. If we're trying to beat the 4 and the 2, maybe try to catch some prices here. Looks strong. 1, 1, 2, 11, 12, 3. Oh yeah, no, I looked at this race. I was pretty strong on both the makers of 1, 2. So let's mess with that. I'm taking a shot. E-Home 2, I'm taking a shot with 3 here at Oaklawn Park. Yeah, I like the plot with the 3, and she has some good races. I was just worried just in terms of like the speed figures are just a little bit soft. But there's definitely some things to like. Big price, so zero issues here with that. I think we're taking some shots in this race. Again, I think both these, I think we're all in agreement here. The 2 and the 4 could definitely win this race. There's just a little something there that's just a little bit tough to trust. We'll make them prove it. We'll make them prove it at short prices. Fairgrounds is 9 minutes, so it'll be pretty tight going over to Fairgrounds, but should still be plenty of time. Kind of start queuing those up. Put the plot back up. It's just loading, but have the plot back up for for this 4th race so it can kind of follow along in running. Six got out in front. 3's moving up to push. 5 not showing speed, not being asked either. Is the 5 getting stiffed? Not crazy about how the 4 is traveling. Or the 2 for that matter. The 7 looks really strong right now. Two gonna get her? Too much class. 1 ran a good race. The 4, you guys, we knew it. The 4 was suspect. I'm sorry, but you don't run 2 big races at Saratoga and Keeneland and then go to Laurel. You don't do that. And then layoffs in between. Especially when you're Brad Cox. That's a sign. That's a they knew, but the negative. 5 showed a little bit of run. The 1 is probably worth a follow. I thought that was a good race from the 1. Broke slow, was inside, made that late move. And 5, I think you're right on that. Back in with Arkansas bred, show speed, because they kind of stiffed that horse. Like right off the bat, like I said, she has some speed, and they did not ask. So let's look for that class change coming back. All right, sorry, we got Fairgrounds in 5 minutes. We got to work quick here. Current favorite is the 5. Looks solid on the plot, but it has a hard race last time out. Could be vulnerable. Yeah, it was lone and then had to run a hard race. Has had 34 days, but is second off. Is she going to have a lone trip? Doesn't look lone here. Not that she needs to be lone. Potentially vulnerable. All right, let's see. We got the 8. 8 is getting class relief. They're the same barn. The 5 and the 8. And now they're the same price. I like the 8 a little bit better because there's things to like in terms of form cycle. Came off the layoff back on December 16th, 320 days, a sprint race at a higher level, 20,000 B. It was a C, gate, wide, no lead. Was bet 4-1 that day. Very fractious in the gate, was wide up close to the pace, had an open length chalk winner. Aaron. Good point about the 4, also never improved in the first race. Yeah, exactly. Did start to go backwards after that debut. That's right. And that's why them going to Laurel, it's like they knew, like we've already squeezed the lemon. Now we're just like, maybe we'll go to Laurel and get lucky or whatever, but she's fine, but it was a really bad favorite today. All right, let's get back here. So the 8, like her a little bit, improving, third start, could have another move forward just in terms of form cycle. C plus was pressed last time out. That's going long, 2 turns. Now they're going to cut back to a sprint and with the class drop. Positional speed and kick. I like this one. Now is the favorite. They must be listening. Not exciting at 2-1, but we got a couple minutes. She drifts a little bit. Could be a good play. Second, the second choice alternative, but as the favorite at 2-1, we could pass. The 7, good speed figures. But maybe as a top. She last year. Barn change. Saya is going to be forwardly placed. Mike's probably going to have pressure. If the 5 tries to get the same trip as last time, going to have to deal with the 7. And it looks like she's going to have to deal with the 1 as well. Yeah, the 1 from the inside. Had a B last time out. They can't really stalk, right? Last time out was able to get a stalking trip. That was from the outside post. When you're inside with this kind of horse, you got to go. So this horse is going to be forwardly placed and a little bit slower. But definitely a pace player, the 1. The number 3, slow. That's all that I can really say. Is slow. Has 1 race. But that was on the front end. If they try to go to the lead today, I don't even know if that race would be good enough. Number 4. Number 4 is good. What's number 4 right now? 5-1. Makes sense. Ran at this level. Well, we'll go back a little bit. Just in terms of form cycle coming on the circuit. Ran on December 26th. At this condition, slog, trouble, start, trouble. Behind horses and forced to rate. And then improved, ran a B at this level last time out with a wide trip. So I don't know why that horse isn't taking money today. Because that horse makes a lot of sense in here. Maybe it's just the other ones are taking so much money. Sorry, I want to write down these warm-ups just so that I have them in the system. Because I know I'm doing like multiple things at once, but sorry. Because the 8, both the 8 and the 1 are warming up right now. Okay. I'm not a fan of horses warming up for what it's worth, but anyways. So the 4 makes sense to me, 4-1. The 5 was the favorite and is now 7-2. So wagering is like all over the place. 7 we discussed is a pace player. I don't know, maybe a pass. Anyone? 8-4. If I had to pick. I don't know why the 4 is so cold on the board. Could back up, maybe. You can kind of see that. The last time she ran like she ran a top was here, the 77. Right? It was kind of running average and then kind of popped with this number. Wait, 1, 2, 3. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. But anyways, ran this number and then kind of backed up a little bit. I don't know. She still makes sense to me. Question, when you take the favorite, example, even though Nick's Go and the Pegasus was an underlay based on everything, especially the trainer, should he have been a single? So, yeah, I mean, in that case, I think you take like 1 of 2 stances where you either single or you're against. You don't want to go Nick's Go and blah, 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 whoever the hell ran in that race. Does that make sense? So probably in terms of a win bet. Yeah, probably not. But if you're playing like the multi-race sequence, I think that's probably the most efficient way to play would be to look at Nick's go as I'm either going to try to beat him or I'm going to try to single him. Maybe use one other. Maybe. If you like a price, but pretty much you kind of know that you're anchoring around Nick's go. You're not getting any crazy. Does that answer your question, or were you asking, or did I not answer it? Because yeah, I mean he looks solid. He looks solid just in terms of, speed figures fit, and then look to kind of have that pace advantage. So, yeah, I mean, to me, it was kind of a pass because I didn't want to be against or I didn't want to be with. But I think if you're playing, I think you have to go one of those two ways. All right, this race kind of got away from me at least. Yeah, the 4 was a total no-show, so they knew. We got the 8 coming on the outside. The 7's been out in front the entire time and looks like it's gonna hold. 7 is just kind of like one-paced, plodding along. So good pass, I guess, unless you played the 7. I'm gonna note that. And then the 1 ended up going off as the favorite. That was like the strangest betting race. The 5 is the favorite, and then yes, generally I look to beat them, but if I don't have a horse I like, I would like to single him in the picks and then not bet the race. Yeah, I think that that's like the most like effective approach. I know it's not the most creative, it's definitely not like the most sexy, but at least you're not spending money on horses when you like the favorite and you've kind of decided this is the horse to beat, or I'm not going to use them at all. But if you're using them, that's kind of the way. I tend to agree with that approach. Look to beat them like we've gone through every single race today. Start with the favorite, absolutely tear them apart, work our way outward. If they look solid, then it's like pass or, play those multis. But I didn't get involved in the multis today. I looked at the pick 5 on both and just didn't feel I had an edge in the sequence or could play it that efficiently. All right, let's go to. Sorry, I just wanted to get those notes in because they were kind of, with the warm ups and stuff. All right, let's look at Oaklawn Park. With 18 minutes to the 5th. Ooh, we got a big full field. Oh yeah, but not that exciting. So maybe my handicapping has changed from what it was a few days ago. But I thought the 1 and 2 were pretty tough in here. We're going to be pretty tough. I think Mike Maker has been having a really solid meet at Oaklawn Park. I think he's sending out live, and he has both the 1 and the 2 in here. Just, if we look at the optics plot, it looks like both of them, in terms of pace, not much to knock. The 1 drawn inside has that early speed, is certainly a threat to go gate to wire. The 2 has solid second call speed, capable to race close enough to the pace, and then it is a square and has the ability to finish. It seems like, in terms of these quad 3 runners, especially their quad 3s as circles, they're just going to be kind of chasing trying to keep up with the 1, the 4, the 5, the 8, the 6, chasing and then fading. Not able to keep pace with the 1 because they're not quick enough. They're not furthest left of the 1, and they're not high up on the y-axis to the 1. So chase and fade, no keep. The 3 and the 9 have a little bit of finish to them, but they could be in a position where they get tired if they get forced to chase early. So we'll take a look at them. The 2, being inside of kind of that shuffle, maybe he gets a little bit further back. We'll have to kind of look in terms of trip. But that could be the one issue, right? But otherwise pretty solid. The 11 and 12 have they can rate off the pace and finish. The 10 also comes from off the pace. On standard is a square, so can be upgraded just as they kind of bunch. But a little less finish on service and distance. So we'll kind of have to look through horse by horse, but we'll start with those inside horses. All right, so the number 1 Derby code, he's not necessarily an E runner. Yeah, he definitely looks more as a presser, but he's out in front. But it's going to be going, went 2 turns here, wet fast. Those are slow paces. What's the speed rate? Low. Okay, well that's in his favor. This guy's kind of just improving. What happened here? Lost rider coming out of the gate. Was running C pluses at the higher maiden level. B minus. And then 1. Perfect trip. It's always a little bit of upside here. Lateral move for the 3. Got a barn change. Coming off the layoff. It's okay. Well, we don't know. Speed figures are fine. Speed figures are in range. Going first off the claim, he's a little unknown in terms of fast dirt. He's never run on fast dirt. Been on synthetic, turf, and then last time out a 1-turn mile in the slop. So a little unknown from that perspective. And sometimes those synthetic races just tend to look a little bit better on the plot. It's a tough read. He's currently 8-1. Off the 5-1 morning line. A little lukewarm. Kind of a tough read. All right, the number 4, wide last time out at Remington. Tough to make a case there. Is one of those chase and fade. Tough to make a case in terms of trip. A little bit slow for the number 5. Another one of those horses that's going to be in that, no keep type trip. Number 6, I think, was another one of those. Yeah. Slow. Can't see the trip for him. The 8 could be some upside. We got a tactic minus. Tactic minus is like basically a bad ride. That makes sense, right? Didn't take any money. Was cold on the board. Let's see if he's taking any money here. Nope. 29-1. So didn't take any money that day. 7-2 morning line. Rated off the pace setters. Was not asked to keep position. Brushed while dropping back with the rider wrapping up late. Just overall signs were negative. Has had 41-day rest. But overall is pretty slow. And Ingrid Mason has been cold. She usually starts off the meet pretty good. I remember last year she started up really strong. Hasn't had quite the same type of showing. So, tough to sort of make a case for this one, for recklessness. There could be some upside, but I don't know if necessarily today is the day. Number 9, Foxy Ace. A B last time out, so winning grade for the level, but was a softer par. That was a 71-77. Today is a 78-84. So does have to improve a little bit a little bit there, but is okay. Notifications. Ooh, we got a big note on the 10. Shake it. Slog, so slow start, kick back, wide, move, X flow, improve. That's a definite use. That is a definite use. That's that horse that looks a little bit, yeah, it's taking money too. 10 to 1 morning line, currently 12 to 1. Definitely playable. Especially if they do kind of bunch up like that. Could be a lone closer. And the kickback's a little bit slower, but definitely interesting. 12 always passes horses at Oaklawn Park. We're almost there. All right, so the 11, let's get to the 11 first. Ran in this condition last year, kind of a bit player, B-, so maybe an underneath. And then he talked about the 12. The 12 always passes horses at Oaklawn Park. Debuted here, broke slow. That was a best of the speed. The top 3 were all forwardly placed, so a little bit upgrade there. Do you mean the 12 in general? Oh, the 12. Oh, just this horse in general always passes horses. Yeah, for sure. This horse looks like he fits. 2-turn dirt races are pretty much in line. That's a 1-turn. Maybe not. I need to take that back. It's a little bit soft, but good underneath. I don't know about a win. Looks okay. Looks good enough as the 2. So maybe that's worth upgrading. What's the price? 6 to 1. And 3 was kind of the wild card. Yeah, 1, 2, 12, and then that 10 kind of seemed like the horses to mess around with. The 1 and the 2 was logical, but 2 is the favorite right now. And what to do with the 1? The 2. How to play. How are you guys going to play this race? This is a tough one because the 2 seems logical, right? But there's just no value. But the 2 could definitely win. Sort of that scenario that we're talking about, but it's a little bit tougher because it's not like Knicks Go where you have a horse that's classy. You know, like the 2 could win, but we're talking about $10,000 claimers. I just have to plug in my computer real fast. One of the computers at least. All right. Yeah, so how are you guys, what's the approach? Are you, Watto, are you using the 12? Are you just betting straight with the 12? So we're going through the post parade right now. No kind of knocks physically on the 1 or the 2. Again, Barn has been live. It's tough to go one without the other. There's a 3. 3 is just still a little bit unknown. 4 is below. 5 a little toey. Otherwise physically looks okay, but also below. One of those quad 3 circles. quad 3, quad 4 circle on the 6. It's a pretty tough spot. The 8, shipping in for Ingrid Mason, the one that didn't take any money last time out. Is this a one-turn horse? It looks like one turn. Yeah, looks more like a sprinter. Okay, there's the 9. I missed the 9. The 10, still taking a little bit of money there from that trip last time out. The 11, capable underneath, I think, looks good in quadrant 2, kind of picking up horses late for a piece. The 12 usually wear front wraps. Yes, okay, good. Because I would want to look for that with the barn change, especially. That one was a barn change, right? Oh no, not a barn change, sorry. A little bit of a layoff, slight layoff. Another tough race to bet. Even with the 10, like, having value, it's tough because you have the 1, the 2, and the 12. Chat, what do you guys got here? Come up with some creative tickets. One of these long shots. I'm missing a reason to be against either the 1 or the 2. That would be good. Come up with a good reason to be against one of those. I mean, you could make the case, I guess. At least with the 1. I mean, the 2, you have the layoff. The 1 has recency. That's tough. Alright. Let's see what's up at what our time is. We've got 10 minutes at the fairgrounds too, and it's another kind of full field. So while Oaklawn's marinating, you can look at his fairgrounds race. All right, we got the plot for the fairgrounds up right now. The current favorite is a 10. Looks like a vulnerable favorite to me, just first glance. It is a circle in quadrant 1. We've got a fire contention, a high speed rate, and there's horses in quadrant 1 that look better, the 3 and the 5. So that to me looks like a vulnerable favorite right off the bat. We do have a good note. There is a positive note on the 10, but this just might not be the spot. Let's go, grid. All right. Yeah, it has had improved last time out and was able to show a little bit more speed. So possibly the last time out with the trouble start in the space is why it kind of looks like a circle. Still, I mean, I like the note. I don't want to go against that. The horse makes sense, but I don't know if this is quite the spot for this horse at a short price. Do you know what I'm saying? 5-2 on the 10. There's going to be a contentious pace. 3-4, 5-9, 7-8-2. I'm going to keep an eye on Oaklawn, but I think this race is worth paying some attention to. Do you guys agree, or do you want to look at something at Oaklawn? I know Oaklawn is coming up in 2 minutes. Let me know if you want me to pull up Oaklawn again. Otherwise, let's look at this fairgrounds race. But possibly the trip kind of lands on 1 and 2. Might have to go through this field, just one by one. We have another last time out. 4-horse field. And off the turf. Looks a little bit below. Okay. Better than look last time out with trouble. I like this horse. I know it's a barn change, but I think we're getting value. And should get the pace. That's the number 2. We're 6 minutes at the fairgrounds. Currently 10 to 1. All right. Lone looks pretty tough, but is that square in quadrant 1? Just a little bit suspect. The 4 also part of that pace. No edge over those other horses. The 5 looks like has some upside. We had an improve back here. Did improve. 5 is possible. 6 is a little soft. Not much, but maybe more for underneath. The 7 is going to the turf. No, can't get there. Another improve on this guy, but he's stretching out. Not crazy about that. It's probably going to be one of the pace setters, right? Just kind of in no man's land. Yeah, the distance is a little confusing. The 9. All right, they're off at Oaklawn Park. I don't know what you guys are live to here in chat. Chat being awfully quiet, close to the vest. Are you guys waiting till after the race to tell me you have the winner? But as projected, the 1 and 2 kind of out in front. And then you have those other horses that are chasing. Kind of thought that the 1 would be out in front, but also was a little bit suspect on the 1 making the lead because it wasn't really an E runner. So the 2 has the lead, the 1's tracking in the pocket. The 6 and the 5 kind of look to take up that pushing pace, but their circles kind of the no keep. But even the 3 is sort of in that flight. My dog is getting really anxious, so I might have to end the stream early. Hopefully not. Anyways, kind of unchanged on the backside. One's starting to move. Flip over to the plot here for a second. So here comes that 3. I pulled up the plot. It's kind of sitting there with that first run. 2 looks like still has a little bit more to give. And now the 1's coming after him. 3 grinding. Whoa, 2 getting a little drunk. Mike Maker, 1, 2. 12 did pick up some horses late. 10, not much pace. All right, I think this fairgrounds race is more exciting. We're almost there too. So the question with the 8, even though we have speed figures on par, is just the distance. And now we have a barn change. Might be a prep here. Might be one to watch next time out. 9, I'm not crazy about. Is stepping up in class with the barn change. Let's see where we're at on plot. Yeah, no real pace advantage. Probably has to be forwardly placed. And the 10 we talked about just as the favorite, not great. So to me, I like the 5 a little bit, but I like the 2. We had a BTL last time out. Is moving up. It's kind of a lateral move, though, in terms of par for the new barn. 5 and 2. Where are you guys at in this race? We got a favorite that I think is soft. And then a tough maiden claiming race. I'm looking ahead at the 7th race. The 3 just became the favorite at Fairgrounds. 10 still 5 to 2. I'm looking ahead at the 7th just to quickly look at some doubles options. Looks like the 1, the 3, the 8, and 9 are taking money in the doubles. Makes sense. 8 certainly makes sense. We got a drop on the 9, who's the same price as the 8 currently, double wise. A drop on the 3, yep, that makes sense. That was at Delta though, so this is more of a lateral move. The 1, the 1's taking a lot of money. So the first time starters, 5 and 6, we don't know yet. So where's my pick 3 players that wanted to start out with the price? This seems like a leg to do so. Oh, I meant to go the other way. Shoot. All right, so the plot is up for this 6th race here at Fairgrounds. You guys, I'm gonna end. Oh, sorry. What is this? Sunny roll 1. I was thinking of pick 3 here, but I think I want to bet this 5 to win. I did. I mean, I haven't looked ahead to the 3rd leg, but I just kind of read out some of the horses that seem live in the doubles. It's a maiden claiming race with the 1, 8, 9, 1, 8, 9, 3 in the next race. I was a little lukewarm on the 3, even though it's a drop because he's coming at a special weight at Delta, but it's more of a lateral move for him. But we'll see this race. And then you guys, I will in the stream after this. That 8th race up at Oaklawn is on the Circles and Squares. It's on Brisnet, so check that out. And then tomorrow I'm gonna try to stream for as long as I possibly can. Getting some friends in the mix will help. Chat, you guys are doing awesome, chiming in and keeping it lively. I'll try to live stream all day because we got a lot of races Oaklawn, Fairgrounds, Santa Anita, Aqueduct, we don't know. They might not run. Weather. Florida, Gulfstream's got some stake races, so we'll get fresh. Get fresh for tomorrow. Go for it. All right. Not the real contentious pace that one would expect, but also but also kind of what was expected, right? You got the 3-4 out there, the 10 close to the pace but wide. Pace isn't crazy fast. They did go 50 in the other race where the speed held, so it's a little bit faster by that metric, but still not as fast as it could be. See, the 10 starting to make a run. Somebody just kind of split horses in the third right now. It's kind of angling out. Looks like, what, the 8? The 5 is trying to close between horses. The 2 on the outside. Let's go with this 2. The 5 is in traffic. The 5 is going to angle out. Has run, though. 2. Come on, 2. Come on, 2, 5. Come on, 2 at least at this point. All right. That's a little good. Could have been slightly better, but not bad. Again, kind of the right spot. Just taking advantage. That looked kind of like right on the money. I mean, look at the plot right now. Where the 2 was. Really sweet. Really sweet 9-1. Great price on the 5. Oh my god. That horse could not get a good trip. I was like spotting him at the quarter pole. I'm like, oh my god, this horse has run. He's behind horses. And then the rider just couldn't get him out. Couldn't get him on the right lead. And then just ran out of time. But holy shit, got a good run out of that horse. 2-5 would have been sweet. 9 held for second. Time was a circle. Circle. Let us freaking down. Got the best price of the day, 9-1. Back up for the day. I mean, I was up a little bit going into that race, but now we're good. Cruising. Yeah, it's a great spot. Got a great spot, a great plot, bad favorite, got that BTL trouble. Yeah, it was sweet. And then they overbet the 10. The 10 made sense, but just the plot just did not set up for this horse today. Got some doubles alive too, so that's cool. All right, chat. Last call. Anything else for the day? Take my dog out. We'll stream tomorrow. Anybody? Last chance. Let's get, if you haven't followed and you're lurking right now, please hit the follow. You'll get notified when we go live. Right now, I don't have a set schedule, so it's important that you follow because it's kind of impromptu. Eventually, I'll get to a point where it's like at a schedule, so at least for some consistency. Right now, days, Friday, Saturday, live stream, Sunday, handicapping in the morning. Monday, I kind of jumped on and did Monday? Did I do a stream on Monday? I think so. To just talk about some stuff that went on for the weekend. So this was fun. Thanks, Emily. You're welcome. Thank you. It is fun. It is fun, especially because I was talking to Jason Beam afterwards because he was in the stream last week. He'll be one of the guests eventually too. And Jason's like one of my favorite people, and I just think he's like such a treasure. But he's gonna handicap one of these days, and he was just saying, he's like, we've been in quarantine, we're all locked up, like there's just not a lot of human connection, that this is fun to be able to just kind of communicate. So I appreciate you guys jumping in and getting in chat and just like really smart horse players. So it's awesome. Thanks, good practice. First time, enjoyed it, and we'll definitely do it again. Awesome, great, thank you. Excellent. And again, because I'm gonna log off. I'm sorry. Not gonna stay for these last few races. Do you know what races you're doing tomorrow? We'll do full card Oaklawn and Fairgrounds and Santa Anita is what I'm guessing. And then I think the stakes races at Gulfstream will kind of be in that mix as well. What do you have a request for what races or where you want to go? I think I'm Aqueduct's suspect at this point, right? So yeah, so as of now, tomorrow, Oaklawn, Fairgrounds, Santa Anita. Cool. All right, you guys, thank you again so much. I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I definitely did too. And I think this will be archived. I hopefully fix that. So Aqueduct should run tomorrow. Okay. Well, if Aqueduct is running, we'll put it in the mix. I know John Doyle wants to. He's like, I talked to him on the phone. He's like, I'm so dialed in on Aqueduct right now. So I'll drag him on. He can school us on Aqueduct. All right, cool, guys. Thank you again. Have a good night. Rest up, and we'll catch some more tomorrow.